What is going on, everybody, and welcome back into another episode here of Draftaholics, a show brought to you by Roundtable Sports. You guys have been kicking it with us for the last few weeks here now, maybe the last couple months, to be honest, giving you guys some of the best draft content leading up to the 2025 NFL Draft. With that being said, the draft is right around the bend, guys. It is less than 2 weeks away. We don't really have that many more shows. If we do a show on draft day for day one, before all hell breaks loose, we only have 2 more shows left. So there is a lot to talk about before the start of the show. Make sure you guys go ahead and check out our previous content. We've broken down some of the top positions here in this draft class, some of the top players at each position. We've done first round mock drafts, second round mock drafts, team specific mock drafts. Today, we're going to continue with the divisional mock draft. Today, we're going to be doing the AFC West and the NFC West. So without further ado, fellas, I say we just go right ahead and hop into this thing. As always, we are going to be using the PFF mock draft simulator because I think that is, at least in my opinion. Now, Dose, I don't think you agree with me on this one. Me and you text about this quite often, but I think this is one of the more reliable sources when it comes to doing mock drafts. So we're gonna continue on for now. Maybe we'll change it up. Maybe if we can all make it work, we do one final show on draft day on Thursday before day one kicks off, and we could use a different simulator. Really switch it up. But let's go ahead. Let's start this thing up. We got maybe I should slow down a little bit just so we can see how the board falls a tad. But we can go about there. But we got the Raiders first up on the board here. This is how, oh wow, this already don't look right. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and then the Patriots really switch things up and go Ashton Jeanty. But hey, look, I mean, Ashton Jeanty is a blue chip player. I don't think that's a hot take. Like, Ashton Jeanty is a blue chip player. There's not many of those in this draft class. The Patriots said they were going to go best player available. So who knows? Maybe that's exactly what they do. And then Mason Graham goes at 5. So, all right, who do we have with the Raiders? I think that's you, right, Broshmo?
Yep, that's me. There goes my Ashton Jeanty pick.
There goes your Ashton Jeanty pick, man. They switched up the tempo on you.
Yeah, going to go a little outside the box here. All right, so they released Jack Jones. So, of course, corner might be on the table. I think I think they have pick 37. I might look to that for a corner, try to get in on before that run happens. So here, I think I'm going to stick with a playmaker on offense. I'm still high on Tetairoa McMillan. I don't know I've seen him mocked anywhere in the first round. I think he could be a high, or let's go with he could be a wide receiver 1. Worst case scenario, I think he may be like a high end wide receiver 2. He brings that size. He plays that my ball mentality, goes up, can get it. He's pretty smooth. Kind of Drake London type, just doesn't have the same type of bite. So yeah, we're gonna get a pass catcher.
I like that. And you said Drake London instead of Mike Evans. And that's probably my favorite thing about your analysis right there, is because everybody's trying to fit him into this Mike Evans type of role. And I can see some of the play style comparisons, but are we going to go out there and start saying, hey, this quarterback is like Tom Brady? No, we're not going to do that. We shouldn't be doing that with Mike Evans. I don't feel like it's fair to compare wide receivers to Mike Evans, who, even when this dude is missing a quarter to upwards to half the season, he's still putting up 1,000 yards. I think Drake London is more realistic. I don't really feel like Tetairoa McMillan, in my opinion, is ever going to be that type of wide receiver that's putting up 1,300, 1,400 yards. He's a top 5 wide receiver in the league. I think he's going to consistently put up, high 900 yards to low in 1,000 yards per season. You like Tetairoa McMillan. I think the question mark is more so about his speed, but speed doesn't always matter, right? He has that contested catch ability. He's pretty good at running routes. He has that yards after the catch ability too. And honestly, if he goes sooner rather than later, I wonder if somebody like Jaden Higgins ultimately ends up getting thrown back end of the first round when it comes to these wide receivers, because I actually think there's a lot of comparisons to like Tetairoa McMillan and Jaden Higgins. But yeah, they need help at wide receiver. They're getting that here. They need to just get some help on the offensive side of the football. So I like that pick. What do you think, Dose?
I think I think the Raiders need anything on offense. So I think it's just bringing juice, but I also think getting guys that they think could help right now. Like, when I think about their situation, age of their coach, like I just think that they want guys that are going to win right now. So I know we all kind of think like maybe it'll be the running back position if that's not an opportunity. Whatever that's going to look like, I think going with size makes some sense for the offense.
What do you think about that, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, just go and get the best player available that you can at that spot, and you go with it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, next up here, we got the San Francisco 49ers at number 11. Derek, I believe this is you.
No, I have the Rams.
Not,
and
no,
I have the Rams and the
Oh,
Broncos.
wait, hold up. Broshmo's back up already?
Oh, good.
Back on
Broshmo with
clock.
the first 2 picks? Okay, Broshmo. Broshmo didn't even get to pick his teams. This is how the board fell.
That's right.
Before we start, we're like, okay, I'm going to take these teams. You're going to take these teams. And Brochmo was last this week. And so his teams or kind of just give it to him. He got the sloppy seconds. And he's already making the first 2 picks. All right, Brochmo, let's go.
All right. Well, I'm running this one in. It's a deep defensive line class. I wouldn't mind going defensive line here, but I'm pretty optimistic in terms of what might be available to me in round 2. The Niners do have pick 43. So I still think there could be some depth there to be had. I'm going to go with Armand Membu, him being available there. I'm not sold on McKivitz, and Niners fans, they're not sold on McKivitz. And you could develop maybe an heir apparent there to Trent Williams. I think the problem is, man, Membu, he's been a right tackle like all through high school, all through college. So there is a little scarcity there when it comes to moving him to the left side. But I'm not going to worry about that. The dude's a phenomenal athlete, should be a really good fit for Shanahan's offense.
Yeah, like you said, he's a phenomenal athlete, so I think he has that potential to switch over to the left side. He's never done it. Now, there has been some talk that he did, practice at it, but practicing at a position and actually playing it and getting live reps in a game are 2 very, very different things. Me personally, like when it comes to Armand Membu, there's a lot of talk, amongst Patriots fans and Pats Nation about him also being drafted to the Patriots and then being switched from right tackle to left tackle. My own personal thought on that is, if you want a left tackle, go get a left tackle. If you want a right tackle, go get a right tackle. I think it's a lot easier for interior offensive linemen to switch, like to go from left guard to right guard or right guard to left guard or go from guard to center. It's a lot more easier than making that switch from one side of the tackle spot to the other side of the tackle spot. I feel like a lot of times when we see guys try to change that position as they transition to the NFL, they try to change sides. It usually doesn't end up working out for them. Now, that doesn't mean it never does. And maybe the athlete in him makes that transition a little bit more easier, but I do still feel like ultimately he is going to be a right tackle at the next level. But worst case scenario, what? Now they have an above average, maybe even a potentially elite starting right tackle. That's not a bad problem to have either. You can't go wrong with Armand Membu either way. What do you think about that pick, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, getting Membu, just, allowing the position flexibility potential for that. Membu just rising on boards. I mean, it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense.
What do you think, Dose?
Yeah, look, no, for me, I mean, that's where I think San Francisco has to get back to. I was asked recently what San Francisco should do in the draft, and I think they got to get back to going trenches first and then get some dudes that are going to take the football away on defense. That's where I would look at it if I'm San Francisco. So this gets it started perfectly with a good athlete too. Let's get an athlete on the offensive line. I'm with it.
All righty. Well, moving up here to pick 16, the Arizona Cardinals with their first pick. Dose, this is all you. You better not go where I think you could go.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to go where I think you could, where I think I could go.
I really hope you don't.
Go. I don't know what that's going to be, and I'm assuming you're thinking Starks just because he's sitting there. I think it could make some sense potentially at the safety position. They're a little bit older there with Budda Baker. Give him a guy that can play free safety. I like Starks a lot too. But the more I think about this spot, man, every time I look at Arizona, right, number one, I think wide receiver. I think it'd be good to add somebody opposite of Marvin Harrison, add some juice to that, try to make this thing right with Kyler Murray. But I always look at that offensive line, man. I'm always a little bit disappointed. Like, it feels like they just kind of have a carousel going on, trying to find pieces, and we're going to do it, Colby. Welcome in Calvin Banks Jr. to the Arizona Cardinals at 16.
I thought, you kind of blue balled me because I really thought, because you thought I was going to go Malachi Starks. That's not who I was talking about at all for my upcoming pick. You started to talk about offensive line, and it started to scare the heck out of me. And I thought you were about to say his name, and then you switched up the tempo and went with a tackle instead of an interior offensive lineman, and I did not see that coming. So, all right, Kelvin Banks pitting over there at left tackle for the Arizona Cardinals. I am more than okay with that. Given how the board is falling here, at least how I'm expecting the board to fall by my next pick. Broshro, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I like it. Kelvin, like they got Paris Johnson at left tackle, so they would have to kick him to right.
Paris Johnson at left tackle.
We're not leaving him at left tackle. He's going to either go to guard, which I know some teams think he's a guard, or he'll go to right tackle for Jonah.
Yeah, Banks could start immediately if you're cool with like if you want to like ease him into like moving to the right side, you could play him immediately at left guard. They have Evan Brown there. Okay, whatever. Get that out of here.
Right.
But also, I mean, Jonah Williams is a fine enough band-aid if you don't want to start him right from the get-go. But I like going with the trenches, man. That'll help Connor and maybe keep him a little bit healthier through the year.
Yeah, I also think that like with Kelvin Banks, I think he can be a tackle. Like I feel like every single tackle we're talking about, unless they got gigantic arm length and they're like 6'8", everybody's like, oh, they're a guard, they're a guard. Kelvin Banks had what, 33-inch arms? I think that's what he came in at. He's 6'4", 320. Like he has the size to play tackle. I think he very well can be if need be, but he's also not too big. He's not too tall to where I'm like, I don't love the idea of him going on the inside, right? Like Will Campbell, right? Like if Will Campbell went to the Arizona Cardinals and got put in on the interior, I'd be like, well, poor Kyler Murray. Like he's not going to be completing a single pass over Will Campbell's head. But at 6'4", I do still think that they can make that work with Kelvin Banks at guard. What do you think about that, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to move, if you're going to transition Kelvin Banks in there, again, just getting a really good offensive lineman to be in that spot, it's about building up the trenches, and that's what you should do if you're Arizona.
All right, Kelvin Banks, I love it. All right. Oh, wow. Matthew Golden goes the pick before I was going to consider that one, but it's not the pick was my number one pick here, but I was going to consider it. To me, this one feels like either offensive lineman or it feels like wide receiver, given the fact that obviously they've made some moves this offseason. But I look at that O-line, and I will always stand by this. I don't care if it's interior. I don't care if it's at tackle. Everything offensively runs through the offensive line. The second most important thing in football behind the quarterback position is the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. And right now, Seattle needs to work on that offensive line. If they're going to get anything from the running game, they're going to get anything from the passing game. One of the most important things they have to do is keep Sam Darnold safe. If they're going to get the return on investment from him, he's not someone that I think can excel the offense past his limitations, more specifically when he doesn't have an offensive line that's going to be able to keep him upright. So I'm looking at that interior. It's very, very questionable. This one's very easy to me. I think that Gray Zabel is the number one interior offensive lineman in this class. Some people might look at this and say, I don't love the value of going interior O-line at 18. Those guys, I think, are becoming more valuable than people are realizing. Just being like, oh, I'll just get a guard in the mid to later rounds and I'll get a starting caliber guy. We are getting some freak athletes as of late coming into the league when it comes to the interior of defensive lines. I mean, it's not just big body defensive tackles coming to plug holes essentially in the running game. We have guys that can really be pass rushers and really get to the quarterback now. So you need high caliber interior O linemen. And the great thing about Gray Zabel is that he's played all over the offensive formation, all the way from left tackle to left guard. He's played a little bit of right guard. He's played right tackle. So you can put him to really any need that you have. Use him as that Swiss Army knife to your offensive line. I do not think that this is a reach for Gray Zabel in the slightest. If he falls to 18, I think that is excellent, excellent value for the Seahawks. Brochma, what do you think?
I love it. Gray Zabel is like a big my guy this whole process. Seattle has one of the worst interior rooms in all of football. Zabel showed that he could play center and guard at the Senior Bowl. They need center. They need guard. He moves so well. Great fit for Kubiak's wide zone blocking scheme there.
I did not know they had 5 picks within the top 100. That is absolutely insane, bro. What the heck? All right. What do you think about that pick, Dose?
I think it's good for them. I mean, Seattle's kind of in the same boat. It's offensive line. They're trying to get that thing going together. The interior has been a huge part of that in general over the last few years. I think Zabel's good at center. I like him at center. Obviously, as pointed out, he can play guard too. I don't know how much teams will actually look at him as a tackle, but I think Gray Zabel has a chance to go first as a pure interior offensive lineman just for the simple fact that he's done everything right. Like ever since the draft ended, there's no one that's ever really put everything together like I think he has, from testing to the whole Senior Bowl process. Like everything's been perfect for Gray Zabel, I think, from that time on. So I think for that alone, like it's easy to see him going high in the first round.
What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, build in the trenches. There's always going to be weapons. You can always get those at other times. But if you don't have the offensive line, those weapons really aren't going to do anything for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I agree. Well, moving up here next is pick 20 here with the Denver Broncos, their first pick here in this mock draft. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say, Derek, we finally got you up on the board.
Finally up on here,
Let's go, man.
And I was thinking an offensive weapon here, and thank God you did not pick the player that I was hoping you wouldn't. We are going to go Luther Burden the third here at wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. They need another explosive weapon offensively. And I was going to pick Emeka Egbuka. I thought he would have worked perfectly for Denver, but that one was already taken. But Luther, just with his athleticism and the multiple different things you can do with him in that offense, I think that it's just a home run pick right here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not as big on Luther Burden as some are. I do have some concerns on him. I do have some work ethic, some character concerns on him. I think that could potentially drop him a little bit lower. I do believe in recency bias, too. I believe that somebody like Jaden Higgins is rising up draft boards, as where Luther Burden, he's falling down draft boards a little bit. Not a lot of people are talking about him, but he is still a good player. You know, what we saw in 2023, I think, is a better version. Like, I think that's a more realistic version on what we're going to see from him compared to what we saw this past season, which is some inconsistent quarterback play. So, while I'm not as high on Luther Burden as some people are, a true technician, I think he will translate to the NFL. Will he be an elite wide receiver one? Only time is going to tell. I personally do not think so, but that's just my opinion. Broshma, what do you think?
I'm a sucker for a guy with a good yak, and Burden's got that good yak. Man can create after the catch. He came in cemented. There's a word. Cemented his speed. I think he ran a 4.41, and he just gives me DJ Moore vibes. So I like adding that for Bo Nix and friends.
What do you think about that, Pig Dose?
I'm exactly the Rochemo in the sense of just get the ball in his hands. I feel like this whole Denver offense, like last season, like it would have been so nice to have that piece, especially when they got like towards the playoffs and it like was like on third down, who's going to get a first down for this team? Like when they're in bad situations, you just want somebody to come through and like, I'm here for you, Bo Nix. This, I think, is that piece potentially. You just find creative ways to get him the ball, keep it simplified for him, and we just give him the football, let him do the rest, let him do the magic. I think it makes a ton of sense.
All right, well, let us know what you guys think about that Denver Broncos pick in the comment section below. But moving on here to pick 22, the Chargers are up on the board, and Dose, this is where you take over.
Man, this is where – so I was heavily considering taking Malachi Starks here. I mean, I like Elijah Molden that they have. I liked him in free agency. They end up bringing him back. But they have like a potential opening for a safety long-term. That didn't happen on the board. So I'm going to have to go like with what everybody's expecting. We're going to take Colston Loveland. Offensively, they just need something that's dynamic on offense. There's just something there. And you wonder with Harbaugh, like, okay, there's a style that he'll play. Maybe he doesn't value that as much, but it's also one of his guys, and he's just going to get open on his own. So anybody that just creates, they need a creative piece. Running back, wide receiver, tight end, whatever that is. Loveland falling here is that piece.
Yeah, I mean, it's a safe pick, right? Like, it's something I think we're all seeing coming. They did sign a tight end in free agency. It was Tyler Conklin that they ultimately ended up signing. That really doesn't move the needle all that much for me. Like, he's a good stopgap. He's a good bridge. He's a good veteran. He's a good guy where it's like, all right, if the board doesn't fall your way, you have a guy that can still get the job done. But they really have not had a game-changing tight end since Hunter Henry. And I think that's something that could really help out, the quarterback play overall there with the Chargers, and having a guy that, Harbaugh is familiar with, like that was his guy during the time in Michigan. I remember seeing Colston Loveland back in, 2023. And I was like, this is my guy. Like, I want him on the Patriots. Like this is my number one guy. And then obviously Tyler Warren just absolutely jumped him this past season with just a season that nobody saw Tyler Warren ultimately ended up having. So I love Colston Loveland here. Some people even have him as tight end one. I wouldn't even argue that if you did. I think this is good value here. Broshma, what do you think?
Yeah, get Herbert help. You get a familiar face for Harbaugh. Conklin, like you said, doesn't move the needle. So, yeah, I mean, you're getting the best the best receiving tight end in this tight end class.
But
yeah, agreed.
By the way, I know it's thrown in the back chat, but if there was a way to trade up, all right, I had heard this idea, and I think it would be fun. Like, the idea of them going after Will Johnson would be a lot of fun. Like, it's just they didn't bring, their cornerback back this offseason. I can't remember his name for some reason right now. That'd be a lot of fun, Colby. All right? People are missing out on what could be amazing action right now. Just letting people know,
Yeah, yo, Dose hits us up in the back chat. He's like, yo, so what do you think about a trade? And I was like, Dose, I don't know if you've noticed throughout the last two mock drafts we've done, but we're not doing trades. But I mean, hey, you can let the people know about a metaphorical trade, I guess, if you want. That counts, I guess.
Yeah. I'll vote on next year.
Yeah, but that's all right.
Yeah,
That's all right.
favorable.
Moving on here to wait. Actually, real quick, we got to get Derek's thoughts on this. Derek, what are your thoughts on Colston Loveland?
Yeah, I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. You would think, obviously, with Harbaugh having some kind of connection with Colston Loveland and them in need of that position, it just seems like the ultimate pick for the Chargers there. So, I mean, I'd be shocked if Loveland doesn't get picked by pick 22 in the draft for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Moving on here to pick 26, the Rams. Dose, right?
Nope.
No.
Derek, damn it. Guys, I took a shot in the dark. I barely remember my two teams.
All right. So this one's tough for me because the Rams don't have a second round pick. So it will be they'll have to go with a premium position here that they can't afford to lose out on till the third round. So I am going to go with a linebacker here. And I feel like they can get tight end help in the third round if they so choose to. And the offensive line, you can always add later. So Jahad Campbell's taken already, right?
I believe so.
Yes, he is. Okay. So yeah, Jalen Walker there at 28 will be who I'm going to take here. It was ultimately going to be who was the first linebacker available. I'll take Jalen Walker there, the Georgia Bulldog, for the Rams at 26.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Walker is just an absolute dog, especially coming out of Georgia. I feel like they just know how to produce players. I also just love players who play at a high competition level in college as they transition to the NFL. I feel more certain about what those guys are going to be. Now, it's not to say it's an exact science, but I feel better about those guys. I see Jalen Walker being more of like an edge rusher in the NFL than a true stand-up linebacker, but a guy who can do a lot of different things, get to the quarterback, which is obviously very valuable and something that the Rams could improve on a little bit, but they started to do that last year. Maybe Jalen Walker helps solidify that for them. Broshman, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the camp of he's an edge, but we saw with the Rams defense last year, they like running a lot of 5 linemen out there. There's a lot of rotation along that interior. If you could add a player that you could play off coverage, but also come in and just bring extra pressure, then I'm okay with it. It's good value. So
what do you think about that, Pig Dose?
I'll be so sad to see this happen. We better not let this happen as a group, as an NFL. You can't let the team that did what they did last year on defense, is that young, have Jalen Walker fall in their lap. Just can't happen. It's a good pick. Just can't happen.
Yeah, I could definitely see Walker going sooner than people expect. I've seen this guy fall in like mock simulators, like the third round, and I'm like, all right, this dude could go first half of the first round, and it wouldn't surprise me. Like, come on now, what are we doing? What are we doing? Moving on here, though, to pick 31 in the Kansas City Chiefs. This one's actually pretty easy for me. Now, you might say, hey, they should go with somebody like Josh Connerly. I know some people actually have said that. I forget who it was. He's like a former offensive lineman in the league. And he has like a podcast, and he said that he thinks that Josh Connerly is the number 1 tackle in this class. Now, if the Chiefs want someone who's immediately going to start in day one, plug in for them, then that would be someone like Josh Connerly. But if they can be a little bit more patient and they want to go with a guy with more upside, then I would go with Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. Not a guy that I'm expecting to start, week 1, just more so because of his injury. But I think they made some moves in the offseason to where they can, have that stopgap. They can be a little bit more patient. I think that Josh Simmons has upside to where he could be, the best, or at least one of the best tackles to come out of this class. To me, it's not really a question mark about the talent of Simmons. It's more so that injury problem, that injury history that he has that is going to make him fall a little bit more than people are expecting. But they need help on that offensive line. We saw it in the Super Bowl. They lost more pieces, already this offseason, Joe Tooney and whatnot. So Josh Simmons, easy pick for me. Mahomes is a very, very different quarterback when he's protected. Dose, what do you think about that?
I think it makes a ton of sense because it fits for the future. It fits the timeline. I mean, I think, obviously he can play a guard, I think, at the next level, but it fits the timeline of where they're at. I think adding the new tackle this offseason, you're just not sure. So you kind of have that like stopgap piece that hasn't started a lot of game. And then in the meantime, Josh Simmons, once he's ready, you just roll. And I think this is going to be a perfect spot for him because they've been prone to moving offensive linemen around, and they'll be able to do it here.
Yeah. What do you think about that move, Derek?
Yeah, I like it, especially, if you decide one way or the other to move Josh Simmons to guard or tackle, really doesn't matter. He has experience at both places. And yeah, he's a really good player. So obviously build the trenches for Patrick Mahomes.
And Broshma, what do you think about that pick?
Yeah, as long as everything checks out with the patellar tendon, he without the injury, arguably he would have been a top 20, top 15 player, would be up there with potentially tackle one in this class. So it's a good get at pick 31.
All righty. Let us know what you guys think about that pick in the comment section below. But we're officially on here into the second round out of the total of 3 rounds here. Pick 37. The Raiders are back up on the clock. Baroshmo, where you want to go here? Your first pick was Ted McMillan.
All right. So I want to just roll through, take a quick look. I want to see what running backs are on the board. I imagine Hampton already went, so we could chuck that down the road. Let's take a look at defensive interior, because that's going to be in my head. A lot of good ones left. That's what I like to see. And I do want to take a look at corner, because I do think this is where the corner run starts, or it might even start at the back end of the first round. And I feel like if you don't get in on it at this pick, you're going to arrive in the third round and be like, where did all the corners go?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm probably going to go with corner. It's really going to be who do I think is the best fit? I think I'm going to roll with Savone Revel out of ECU. I really like the size, man. He ended up coming in at over 200 pounds on his pro day. He should be ready by training camp. I thought there was a lot of improvement. I know it was only 3 games this year because of the injury, but I thought there was a lot of improvement. He had the pick 6 against Appalachian State. There's some legit ball skills. I love the fire that he plays with. They desperately need corner. Even before Jack Jones left, they desperately needed corner. So let's get a corner here.
Yeah, I really like a lot of the corners on the board here right now. I mean, you couldn't go wrong with Trey Amos. You couldn't go wrong with Revel. You couldn't go wrong with a Darian Porter. You couldn't go wrong with an Azarie Thomas there. So a lot of guys on the board. I mean, even like a Jacob Parrish or even a Dorian Strong later on. Like this is a pretty underrated cornerback class in my opinion. But Revel obviously brings that size. He brings that experience. Only question mark is how is he going to return, obviously, from that ACL injury. But he has all the intangibles to make it work. They have a massive, massive hole at cornerback even before releasing Jack Jones. Now it's even a bigger need. So I think this makes a ton of sense, fills an immediate need. Dose, what do you think? Dose?
I think he's definitely lagging out.
Hey, yo, Dose, you there, buddy?
I like that look.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, man, Dose is looking serious. Yo, Dose is just like, Dose is focused. You see that? Like Dose ain't even blinking. He's not even moving. Dose is focused right now. Okay, I don't know what he's focusing on right now.
Contemplating, man.
All of a sudden, his camera's just gonna go out here in a minute. Oh, never mind. There he is. Hey,
there we go. Welcome back, Dose.
Yeah. What the heck happened, bro?
What do you think about that pick, bro?
Man, what pick was it? You know what I mean?
McDonald's internet better, bro. Jeez.
Siobhan Rebel.
Oh, I didn't miss that. I was like 10 seconds. Okay. Yeah, no, look, man. I've seen a lot of buzz for him in the first round recently. Like this thing is really becoming a thing that he could actually go a lot higher than I think people expect. And I don't have him that high, but I think you get him in the second round. The value actually kind of lines up with the piece for me specifically. And Siobhan Revel, like the dude stands out. He looks the part when he's playing, and he looks the part when he's playing against good competition as well, which is the biggest thing for me.
All righty. Well, Derek, what do you think about that?
Hey, I like the pick. It's one of the biggest potential picks of the cornerback room, especially just with the fact of just that size that he has. It's perfect size for the NFL.
Well, with pick 43 here in the second round, we got the San Francisco 49ers back up on the clock. That first pick was tackle Armand Membu. Broshman, where do you want to
go? Let me see the defensive line. Let me see interior. Let me see edge. That's the only place that my mind is currently at. And looks like the interior is starting to fly off the board. That's unfortunate. Yeah. But okay, I saw something there. Let's go back to the top. I'm thinking I'm probably going to go with an edge player here. The question is who? Oh, jeez. I feel like a kid in a candy shop, and I just can't make up my mind.
Just get them all, man. Just get them all.
Just get them all, man.
What are they going to
Just get
do?
'em
You know,
all.
you put down 4 names. What are they going to do? Tell you know.
So I think I'm going to go with LSU's Braden Swinson. He's going to come in and a guy that I think can play with his hand in the dirt. He could play standing up. He's got fairly decent play strength, and I wouldn't say like he's an uber athlete. He just knows how to get it done. He's grown as a technician, and that was very apparent this past season. He had like a win rate over 20-some %, just utterly dominated.
22.1. 22.1 with a 5.8% run stop rate. So
pretty good.
Hey, man. You know, a guy that maybe is, you know, a little bit more average, maybe a little bit more pedestrian against the run. Not necessarily bad, but he's not going to shock you. He's never going to be like, you know, a top 3 run defender in the league or anything like that. But someone who can really pin his ears back, get to the quarterback, which, hey, that's very valuable. Is he going to be an every down defensive lineman? Maybe not. You know, maybe he can develop into that. But someone who, again, maybe comes in on obvious passing situations. And like I said, pin his ear back, get to the quarterback. And yeah, like I said, very valuable in the league. What do you think about that, Dose?
I mean, when I think about that, I mean, he brings that enforcer kind of vibe that I think that makes sense for San Fran. That's what always stands out for me. I mean, whenever you line up against tight ends, he was the kind of guy that would like take a tight end 3 yards backwards. It's like, all right, it was a tight end. You should probably overmatch that guy, but he would. So I think it kind of gets back to, again, with San Fran. You think of San Fran, I always think of that kind of toughness, physicality in the front seven. It's getting back to that. I think Swinson could fit into kind of that mold.
What do you think about that, Big Derek?
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, you know, the edge market will be up and down with a bunch of different people, but yeah, it's not too bad of a pick there.
All right. Well, moving on here to the Arizona Cardinals in the second round, pick 47. Dose, your first pick was Kelvin Banks. So you said you're going to try to put in there on the interior of the offensive line. Where do you want to go here?
Man, real quick, they put Kevin Winston at rank 31. Good. Hey, we see you, PFF. You know what I mean? That's some love right there. Okay, we see you. No, look. So I think we have to get a weapon for this team, and this is. I think there's a couple different ways I could continue to just hammer home the trenches. I could do it again. It'd be kind of fun. Like if I threw a Donovan Jackson in that mix too, it'd be like, yeah, this is fun. But I don't think that's what actually would take place in this spot. And I actually like the youth they have on the defensive line. I think they need some work there. But I like the youth they have. Maybe you add a linebacker like a Schlesinger at this spot. I'm gonna go a little bit off the board. Colby loves these. We're going to go Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. I think that kind of fits into a different skill set just a little bit than what they have. Can kind of pair up with Marvin Harrison Jr. You get the long, fast receiver. Didn't show as much in his time. He ran like a 4.5 or something, but it's kind of that vertical pusher, right? He's going to run a lot of those longer developing routes, and I think that's how he can fit into this offense. And that's kind of what this team needs. I didn't realize they brought in Simi Fayoko. That's a throwback right there. I saw that name. Like, oh, man, that was like the size speed guy. I don't know about anything else. So we'll go after that with Trey Harris.
Yeah, I mean, 6'3", what was it, 210, a guy who's going to be that outside X receiver. He's gotten significantly better on a year-to-year basis, too. I still think there's some developmental, left in him. I don't think there's too much. I think for the most part, we're getting to the point from, what you see with Trey Harris is what you're going to get. I don't think he's ever really going to be a wide receiver. Well, now maybe he surprises us. Maybe he surprises me. I'm not saying he doesn't have the intangibles to be that, but to me, he's more of like that, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. But again, that guy who you're going to give that contested catch ability to on the outside is 61.5% contested catch rate this past season and did very well at getting open against man coverage. 95 overall grade against man coverage. Drop rate 7.7%. It's starting to get to the point where it's concerning me a little bit, but again, I definitely don't hate the pick, especially for the Arizona Cardinals. What do you think about this, Broshmo?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I really like Trey Harris as the player. It's just a few things with him. It's like he's been beat up the last couple of years. Groin. When I think groin injury, I think like T. Higgins missing 4 games every year. So that's a little scary. But man, this dude is a playmaker. He can create after the catch. He's tough to bring down. In that Ole Miss offense, he legitimately showed the ability to maybe not necessarily separate, but create enough room where he could go up and make a relatively easy contested catch. And I think that's what you're getting. You're getting a guy that knows how to control his body when the ball is in the air and put himself in the most advantageous opportunities and spots.
What do you think about that, Big Derek?
Yeah, Trey Harris has a lot going for him. I think could definitely be one of those I can't believe he fell this far type of players. Yeah. And I think that to match him with Marvin Harrison is a really great dynamic duo.
Yeah, no, I know when people hear Trey Harris, like everybody just wants to see like AJ Brown all over again. So people are like, okay, well, you know what? In the second round, I take him high enough. That's AJ Brown 2.0 right there. I was like, all right, maybe we should calm down a little bit. But, you see some of those same intangibles. But all right. Trey Harris moving on next here. Oh, come on, dude. Bro, right before.
If the Bengals draft Jaden Higgins on top of already having Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, that would be funny.
I don't know.
Folks, Colby is in severe pain right now.
Like that, first off, it doesn't even make sense. Second off, the pick right before it, like I'm telling you, PFF knows these things. Like there's something they got with like the camera that they know the pick you want to make, because every single time the player you want gets picked, literally the pick before your pick. It's so annoying. Well, I thought that was a pick that would have made a ton of sense for them. Now there are some other options that they could go here. Maybe we'll address edge here instead and go wide receiver a little bit later. But yeah, that was my target, Jaden Higgins. I was really hoping he was going to be there, but whatever. So we got Jalen Royals. That's a guy that I wouldn't mind plugging into this offense, but I also want to see what we got at edge. Let's see. Well, we got some good guys here at edge. Honestly, I'm just going to go with the better value here. We could go Princely. Now, maybe this is a hot take. You guys can tell me. And I know I talk about this player a lot, but like this is just my guy. Anytime he's there, like I feel wrong not taking him. It's Jack Sawyer. Right? Like a guy with a high motor. He's good against the run, but he's better against the pass. Like he has that dog. He has that mentality. And I love a good pass rusher, but more specifically, I love a guy who has that dog in him, who has that fight, who isn't scared to get a little bit scrappy on the field, get into a couple of fights a little bit, talk a little bit of trash. And that guy is Jack Sawyer. I feel like he'd be a really, really good piece here for the Seattle Seahawks. I think McDonald would get the best out of him. I think this makes a ton of sense coming out of Ohio State. So I'm going to go Jack Sawyer here for the Seahawks at 50. Dose, what do you think?
I'm a huge Jack Sawyer guy personally. So I haven't tried not to waver on that, but I have, there's games that I don't even, I've already done my stuff on, but you'll see him and you're like, all right, you don't feel the impact. You feel like you get punched off and you're wondering about some of the upside and how diverse he could actually get as a pass rusher. When can things kind of get into a lull where you don't feel his impact? But ultimately, I think he brings a lot more to the table. Like I think you can put him in every unit. Like he's going to do work in coverage, right? He's a clutch player. So I think that Jack Sawyer is going to be good at the next level. We'll see what the ceiling gets to, but I think he's going to be good.
What do you think, Broshmo?
I think it's funny how the Bengals sniped you with Higgins and then you took Sam Hubbard, because that is Jack Sawyer.
That's what it feels like in a way.
Right?
And you know what? That's a little bit disrespectful to Jack Sawyer, I'm just going to say, because Jack Sawyer did things that Sam Hubbard could only have dreamed of doing in college. Sam Hubbard was a good player, but here's the thing about Jack Sawyer. Like if you watched his first 3 years at Ohio State, you would think this guy's a third rounder at best. Because he was the king of, I almost got the sack. I almost did. I just never quite got there. But then you watch those last 5 games, the Michigan game, and then the games where they were in the college football playoff, you'd think this guy was a top 5 draft pick for as good as he was. So, I mean, he's smart. He's determined. He's a go-getter. So, I mean, you're certainly not going to have a problem with him in the locker room. That's for sure.
Yeah, the production is going to be there for him. And we're in the second round. First round, you could bet on trades. That's cool and whatnot. I think you get to the second round, you kind of want to look to the production. Who was good in college? And Jack Sawyer was, outside of Caleb Downs, the best player on that defense this past year.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on here to 51, we got the Denver Broncos. Just to kind of recap what they've done so far in the first round, they went wide receiver Luther Burden. Derek, where do you want to go here?
Show me. I'm trying to see if the interior offensive lineman first, because I'm thinking one way or the other here. No, I think I could probably wait on it. I'm going to go with the running backs here. Go ahead, bring me to my running backs. I'm going to see who's available. Oh, yes. I love it. Bring me Trevion Henderson to the Denver Broncos at 51. I doubt that Travion Henderson is available at this pick, but if he were, this is a slam dunk pick right here.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Travion Henderson. I think the discussion is really interesting on who likes Travion Henderson versus who likes Quinshon Judkins more. I'm someone who likes Judkins a little bit more. Maybe that's just more for my team. That's why I'm a little bit more interested in him. But Travion Henderson has that home run speed. He has that receiving upside. Like, he can definitely turn into an every down back, and it wouldn't surprise me. And especially in this offense, they need help. They need some explosiveness. They cannot continue to ask the quarterback to do everything. So I like that pick. What do you think, Broshmo?
I like it quite a bit. I mean, Henderson was getting some first round buzz like all of a month ago. And I still think there's going to be some of that there. He might end up being a top 40, top 45 pick when it's all said and done. And someone that me picking for the Raiders was kind of eyeing, trying to reunite him and Chip Kelly, but it is what it is.
What do you think about that pick, Dose?
I think it's perfect for Sean Payton. Like, this feels like the guy that would make a ton of sense from running back. Like, just give him a guy that he can throw the ball to out of the backfield. Give a guy that he can kind of draw things. I think give it like their Alvin Kamara option, their pass catching option. He fits this so well for them. To add that with Bird and someone said in the chat, that's nasty, man. That's it's a lot of weapons for them.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Well, I'm up next here on the board already. The Seattle Seahawks are back here again. 4 picks? What did I say? No, it was like 5 picks actually in the top 100. That's absolutely absurd. But second round pick here. Obviously, we went Gray Zabel. We went Jack Sawyer. I'd love to go wide receiver here, but we can ultimately just see who is on the board. I wouldn't hate even going linebacker here and kind of also just going best player available. Because I also like Jalen Royals, but is Jalen Royals going to be there? Is Jalen Royals going to be there at 82? I'm not sure. Honestly, they need help at wide receiver. They lost 2 guys here this offseason in Tyler Lockett and in DK Metcalf. They need to add to that wide receiver core. Guys have already flew off the board that I was hoping I was going to get earlier. I don't want to wait any longer. Now, maybe someone like Kyle Williams will be there. Isaiah Bond, I think, is going to drop, especially after the news that came out about him today, about him turning himself in for the, how do I put this? SA allegations. If you know what that means, you know what that means. If you know the story, you know the story. So I'm just going to grab my guy here right now. I'm going to go with Jalen Royals. This is a guy who has some speed. He's also a little bit more of a technician, 6 foot, 205 pounds. I think he's going to be more of a slot receiver, but I do still think, he's not too small. I think he can still play, all over the offensive formation if need be. A pretty short-handed wide receiver, has some of that contested catch ability. One of my favorite things that I've seen about him in this pre-draft process is like Jalen Royals when he was lining up at the Senior Bowl, and I forget who he was going up against, but just jitters his body and the guy just flies back and trips over himself. Like, that's what you're getting with Jalen Royals. He has that confidence. He has that dog in him, and they get help at wide receiver, which obviously they need behind JSN. So I feel pretty good about this pick. What do you think, Dose?
I think the story's crazy here. Like, I didn't know like any of the background, like how he started at the military school and his grades were trash. And it was like, yo, I got to transfer. And then he runs a great 40 and like, all right, bring him in. Then, he did what he did. And he's like, all right, just stick around here. I think that's a cool little story. It's like an early adversity to kind of went through. And I think he's a day 2 pick. I think he's a round 2 pick. I think he can get himself up there there's a lot of weirdness in this receiver room. I think the small school thing, that may not be overlooked. That may not make him overlooked because there's so many question marks that are already within this group that he could still get up there. And I think he's worthy of being a pick in this spot.
What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, if you're Seattle and you have multiple second-round picks, you can always afford to take someone potentially a little bit earlier than what others may think. Because like you said, I mean, you're going to wait 30 picks for yours again, and you don't know if he's going to make it to that 3rd round. So if you're not going to willing to take the chance, nothing wrong with taking somebody a little bit earlier than what others may think, just to make sure that you get your guy.
All right, Broshma, wrap us up here. What do you think about this?
He's my guy. I love Royals. He gives you that yak ability. He might not be the tallest guy, but he's got that dog in him. And considering who was throwing him the football last year and the year before, like, he made some extraordinary catches.
Was it the Iowa quarterback or
Petrus or whatever? Didn't even know he was still in college football. And then I'm watching Royals tape and I was like, oh gosh, you're haunting me.
I know that name.
Moving on to the
Hey.
Chargers here in the second round, pick 55. Just to recap, in the first round, they went tight end Colson Loveland out of Michigan. Dose, where do you want to go here?
So go to quarterback. Let's see if we can find the Iowa kid. I think we plug him in here. We put him behind Herbert. We just don't win.
I thought you were serious for a minute there. I was like, wait, hold up. You know,
might not be a backup, but dang it, he could hold a field goal.
Oh, man, look, let's go to defensive line because if he's still there, I think it makes sense for this team. All right. Oh, he is still there. Okay, I'm gonna take Omar Norman Lott. I think for this team, like people will question his size maybe a little bit. Man, this guy's got some juice. We want some juice in the interior with this team. If I'm the Chargers, I want some pressure from the inside. And Norman Lott, I think, fits that. I think he fits the billing a little bit for what the Chargers might look for here. Some explosiveness, some agility. He brings a lot of upside. I think is just ways that he can win as a rusher. So this is a ton of juice immediately to the Chargers.
Yeah, I think they need help on that defensive line a little bit. They've lost some guys. I think just getting younger. This is a really good defensive line class in general, from edge to even in the interior guys. So can't go wrong with Omar Norman Lott there. Just kind of beefing up the trenches, which makes a ton of sense given their system. What do you think about that, Brochmo?
Yeah, no. Yeah, Dion said freaking juice 6 times, and it still felt like not enough. He brains it, dude. He has the highest pass rush win rate in this class. Like if you're looking for that DPR, someone to come and get after it, he's your dude.
How big is he?
Fun to watch,
6'3", 315. What do you think about that, Big Derek?
Yeah, I mean, the defensive interior class is just, it's so deep this year. I mean, you can go with a lot of different names here, and, you could really fit that in. So the Chargers really need help on that defensive line, so you can get it anywhere, and that's a good idea.
All right, let's put him in. Omar Norman Lott. All right, let's see. Who's up next? I'm up next. How about that? How about that, guys? I didn't even know. All right, first pick we went here in the first round was Josh Simmons. They get their future left tackle to protect Patrick Mahomes. Moving on here into the second round, there's a couple of different directions that I could see them going. Wow. Okay, Ursery, the disrespect here right now is crazy. Quinshon Judkins is here.
I would pick that
here right now. I mean,
to be honest.
Oh, that's great value. I really don't think Ariante Ursery is going to be here. I think this is just so.
Man, they got
this is disrespect, man. This is disrespect right here. Ooh, this is tough because I think Quinshon Judkins would make a lot of sense for them, but I also see somebody like Porter there, and I think they could use some help. And Makuba is also there. They could use some safety help. They could go so many different directions right now. Let me see how the cornerback board has fallen a little bit. Their next pick is what, 66. So their next pick is up pretty quick here. I don't know if Judkins is going to make it this far. I don't know if
he'll definitely get taken very soon. So take him.
Well, I got Thomas honestly there too as a backup plan if Porter isn't. So you know what? Let's help out Patrick Mahomes a little bit. He had a rough season. He had a down year this past year. You got the tackle to protect him. Now let's start building some pieces around him. I believe they're correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe they re-signed Kareem Hunt, but he's a guy that's on the tail end of his career. I just think they need to kind of rejuvenate that running back core, because when they have a running back core that Mahomes can rely on, it makes them a multi-dimensional offense to take some of that pressure off him. And it kind of seems like that passing game, it just becomes a little bit more effective. So I'm going to go with Quinshon Judkins. I think that he can be an every down back. He's more of that bulldozer, but has a little bit of that speed also, that he can run through a guy, but he can also run around a guy. Again, I think that he's still developing as a pass catcher. It's not that he can't do it, but I think he's just a little bit raw. He's still developing. Same thing when it comes to pass protection, but this is a guy that I'm a massive, massive fan of. So we're going to go Quinshon Judkins here. I just think that that's pretty good value. He's something that I thought would have been off the board by now. So we're going to go with Judkins. What do you think about that pick, Dose?
No, I'm not sure how I feel about that one. Like I like the player
simple one.
Yeah, I mean, I like the
my
player
ear a little bit, and I was like, peer pressure.
You know what? It's a terrible draft pick. It's an F minus.
Just because of the peer pressure
we've had. I like the player. I like the player. So it makes sense from that. And last year, man, they were scrambling to find anybody. Late in the year, that guy's played for us before. He'll be a running back. So I don't think it's bad. Everybody has a stable of running backs. They could use that. They could start that trend in Kansas City.
What do you think about that pick, Broshmo?
I hate it. I wanted Judkins. That's
all. That's a good pick.
Yeah. I mean, they got Pacheco. They got options, so it is what it is. Like
Pacheco,
they
though,
get a
too,
really
like,
good
feels
player.
like he's just not been himself. Like, he hasn't
I
come back
mean,
from
yeah,
those
he was
injuries.
banged up last year, so I get the pick. It makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make it burn any less for Chip Kelly right now.
And I mean, he's running behind Josh Simmons, right? So someone he's familiar with. I think that could also help with the continuity on the offensive side of the football. So we're going to go with Judkins there. And Derek, I would ask you how you feel, but
I mean, and Judkins, I think, is a better pass blocker too. So I think that also is a plus for having him over Pacheco at times.
Let's see how the board fell, because I'm already back up on the board. Let's see. Oh, okay. So Thomas actually goes off the board first. I actually don't think that's as wild as some people might think.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. I mean, Thomas had a crazy Senior Bowl too, so I think that makes a ton of sense. But Porter is still on the board here. So, and Makuba is still on the board here. Now, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that the bigger need for the Chiefs is at safety or it's at corner?
Probably say safety, because you lost Justin Reed and you have McDuffie at corner. I don't really think that they necessarily need an elite corner. Would say probably safety is more important.
Yeah, I think they need more depth at corner. And, they don't necessarily need a starting guy, but I think more so depth is my bigger concern there. What do you think about that, Broshmo?
Yeah, they have next year. You have Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson, and Z Johnson all are up on their contracts. So it does take away from the depth in that corner room. It kind of depends on how they feel about Brian Cook bouncing back, because he kind of wasn't the same guy last year off that foot injury. But you could honestly go either way and think it'd be okay.
Yeah, I love both of these guys here. I think I'm just going to go with the guy that I think has a little bit more upside. And this is actually the guy that Broshmo, you put me on to when you talked about him a few weeks ago. And that is Andrew Makuba here in the third round. They get their safety, they get their guy over the top. And a lot of times too, like these secondary players, now I know there's slot cornerbacks, outside cornerbacks, strong safeties, free safeties. There's different, places to play there, in the secondary. But at the same time, a lot of times if you need your safety to play some corner, your cornerback to play safety, you can kind of put those guys all over the formation. So, I guess it kind of comes down to taste, but I think the higher ceiling here is in Makuba. So we're going to go with Andrew Makuba out of Texas to start the third round there. All right. And Broshmo, you're up here next at 68 to start your third round here with the Raiders. Just for some reference, this is your final pick. You went Ted McMillan, and then you went Revel in the second round.
Yeah, buddy. I do want to take a quick look at defensive interior. Just take a gander, because I think I have an idea, but I'm questioning if it's a good idea or a bad idea. So last year, I'm kind of curious, like how often they ran guys in. Okay, actually quite a bit. So they use that A gap a ton. So I'm going to forego taking a running back here because my guy's not here. It's a deep running back class. We'll just kick the can down the road. I'm going to take Alfred Collins out of Texas to come in and be that nose tackle. He was actually at his best. If you look at his pass rush win rate from like the 0 or the 1 tech, far better. It's just Texas kind of used them all over the place. Texas they've been known the last couple of years to produce these really, really good, really solid defensive interior players, whether it's Byron Murphy, you had Sweat last year, the year before Ojomo, who's going to take over from Milton Williams. So I'll go with Collins.
Dude, Alfred Collins, Christian Wilkerson, and then Max Crosby all on that defensive line. Like they're really building up the trenches there, and then they're getting it with some guys that can be some true difference makers. I actually really, really like that move. What do you think about that, Dose?
I mean, this is his guy. You talk about his guys, man. I know this is Broshmo's guys. I know this is one of his guys.
I know how you feel about him.
Yeah, I mean, not one of my guys, but it's all good. No, honestly, though, the Broshmo has that effect, right? He gives you a guy, and you're like, wait a minute. Hold up. Let me find out if this was my guy. I don't know. Maybe you should have been my guy. I don't know. But look, I think for this Raiders defensive line, like the injury that they had last season, like you brought up the Wilkerson, they had a lot of these dudes hurt last year. But them also bringing back this offseason, slipping my mind again, this also do the 1-year deal, the other edge rusher opposite of Crosby. Like if this thing did come together, that'd be a disgusting defensive front. They could be a nasty defensive front very quickly. Yep. So I'd be excited if I was a Raiders fan.
Tyree Wilson breakout year.
Tyree Wilson, man, they're loaded. Oh my goodness, this team might win a Super Bowl.
Collins is
You know,
rising up draft boards
maybe
too.
not.
Collins is rising up draft boards a lot too. Like I'm hearing a lot of like analysts start really talking about him now too, right as we approach the NFL draft. But Derek, what do you think about that?
Yeah, Alfred Collins at that spot is a really good pick.
All right, moving on here to the San Francisco 49ers. They went Armand Membu in the first. They went Braden Swinson in the second. Broshmo, where do you want to go here?
So I want to take a quick gander once again at the defensive interior.
Damn it, Broshmo. You're taking everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's where I have a need. So, this might be a spot where I take a shot.
Farmer.
No, I'm actually going to take Deion Walker.
Oh,
Robert.
Whoa.
I'm going to take a shot on he's big and he moves well. It's not like he moves crazy, but at that size, it's pretty agile. Robert Saleh, he runs a lot of stunts. Walker's not a conventional, hey, he's going to sit there and just hunker down, or push the pocket. You want to get him on loops, on twists, and I think that's the guy. That's the guy that Saleh would like. So I'm going to snag him here.
Yeah, I think for Walker, it more so depends on where he goes, right? Like, I think he has the intangibles. He has that just crazy size to where you're like, if the right team, if he goes to the right team and they can put his toolbox together, like he's going to be a freak. But I don't think he's one of those players to where, he can go to any team and work out for any team. I think it's very dependent on where he goes. But I do think that the 49ers would make a ton of sense for him because they are a team that I think has usually developed pretty well in the trenches. What do you think about that, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, definitely building up on the trenches. I haven't heard a ton about Deion Walker specifically. But yeah, as far as, again, building up the interior of the defensive line, go ahead and keep building that.
Dose, what do you think?
Well, I think it fits with what the other draft picks were. I think it fits with Swinson. I think it fits with what they're trying to do is get this defensive front back together. Like from jump, that's exactly how I would approach this draft as well.
Yeah, really building in the trenches too.
Yeah, Walker, he has to go to a stunt-heavy team, and Saleh, that's his thing. He loves stunts, so.
Yeah, it's a good pick. Hey, like I said, the trenches are the second most important thing in football behind the quarterback, so you can never go wrong. You can never go wrong with the trenches. But moving on to the Arizona Cardinals, Dose, this is the final pick. You went Kelvin Banks, Trey Harris. Are you going to go offense again, or are you going to switch up the tempo, go a little bit of defense?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go a little bit of defense here, man. I think I want to go to the back end a little bit, give him a little help in the back end. I got my eye on a couple of guys here, but I think I'm going to go corner. And I believe he's still on the board. I think I'm going to go corner. And, actually, okay, give me 1 second because I didn't know he was going to be there. Okay.
Dorian Strong?
No, well, Dorian Strong was going to be my choice at this spot. Dorian Strong was going to be my choice. I think for them, the zone that they play, getting someone that's a little bit longer for them would make some sense. I think they would fit in well to what they do stylistically. I just have like a weird feeling, and I'm not as high on the players, so it's hard for me. But like Kobe Bryant, I think would be interesting because
I love Kobe Bryant.
I think he could kick back to safety, to be honest, at some point. Like I think he could move around. I think a team could have a lot of like, we could put him in these spots, and again, a little bit of length, very linear for that team. So I think it would make some sense for them. So I think both of them are interesting. Let's go. I'm going to go with the guy I like more. I'm going to go Dorian Strong just because I like the player more. But I think Kobe Bryant's an interesting option.
Y'all see this? Wait, hold up. It says at 5'10", 170, but then here it says 6'1", 175.
170. Somebody obviously messed up.
Gotta be taller than 5'10", bro. There ain't no
I'm pretty sure he's 6'1". I'm pretty sure.
Yo, somebody.
One was probably the Kansas profile page, so written like during the season, and then the other's the updated like pro day combine numbers.
Wow, he grew. Bro had a growth spurt. That's crazy. Where'd you say you were going, Dose? Kobe or
I'm going Dorian Strong. I want to go Strong.
You're going Strong.
I like the fit there for them. I feel like they just need some size in the back end specifically too. And I think he gives me a little more height, but I think he also fits in how they play in the back end. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they could use some help in that secondary too. So I don't hate that pick, especially with as many good receivers that have come in recent years through the draft. Like you need to be able to go, pound for pound for those guys. But what do you think about that pick, Broshmo?
Yeah, I think that's actually the right spot for Strong. I think he needs to go to a very zone heavy scheme. Excuse me, I was getting choked up because the pick was so freaking beautiful.
So good, Let's go. A+, man. A freaking plus. What do you think about that pick, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dorian Strong is a really good corner. He's an aggressive corner, so I think that will work well with Arizona's defensive scheme.
All right, Dorian Strong, and that wraps up the three-round mock for the Arizona Cardinals. Moving on next here. Oh, of course, we have the Seattle Seahawks back up on the board. I mean, I feel like at some point, this team has so many damn picks that you got to just be like, you know what? Just take the damn player at the top. Just take the damn player at the top every single time. You can't go wrong. Best player available, right? Who is? I don't think they have a tight end. I'm trying to think about it. Who is the starting tight end for the Seattle Seahawks?
Fant.
Is it? I'm about to say, is it still Fant? Like, is he still a thing in this league? I haven't heard about that guy in a minute. He's been dealing with injury problems, has he not?
I don't know, but they got Barner there too. Good blocking tight end.
I believe. I want to make sure I got this right because I believe Noah Fant's been dealing with some injuries. He's 27 years old too, so he's getting up there in age. I mean, he was not someone who's been worth the first round pick. In Seattle, he put up 500 yards and 1 touchdown in 2024, 414 yards and 0 touchdowns in 2023. So someone who they can definitely upgrade with. Like you said, Broshma, they do kind of have the blocking tight end if they want to use that to kind of help out that running game a little bit, but they don't really have that guy who's going to be a game changer as a receiving threat at tight end, someone who can operate all over the offensive formation, who's going to be a threat up the seam between the numbers. And I see a guy like Mason Taylor. Now, maybe you could say, this is respecting the board a little bit. I think he's going to be more of a second-round pick. You never know. Maybe a guy falls a little bit more than he's projected. Maybe teams view certain positions a little bit higher than tight end. Mason Taylor, to me, not much of a blocker. I don't think he gives you much upside there, but he is one of the best receiving threats at tight end in this entire class. His gauntlet at the combine was super, super impressive. He catches virtually every single thing that is thrown his way. A 50% contested catch rate this past season, only a 1.8% drop rate. If you are looking for a receiving threat, again, at tight end, Mason Taylor is going to be that guy. And in a pass first league, I think somebody like him is going to be highly thought upon, highly sought upon, and I think he's going to be very, very valuable. If they can get him here, I think this is really good value. So I'm going to go with Mason Taylor here for the Seattle Seahawks, the best tight end that they've had since, dude, I remember the last time that Seattle actually had like a good difference maker at tight end. But what do you think about that pick, Broshmo?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I like them going tight end. I mean, it's been a featured part of Clint Kubiak's offenses. I mean, if you go back to the Saints last year, they very much relied on Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, and Taysom Hill. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to see the field and almost immediately.
What do you think about that pick, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, definitely get a good pass catching guy that can, add another element to that offense.
You rocking with my pick, Dose? Or are you going to hate on me now?
No, I actually love it. I don't think he's going to fall this far, man. So
I think he's going to fall this far. Either,
yeah, it's so weird with Mason Taylor. Like every place, almost every mock draft simulator has him like in the 3rd round. But if you ask the majority of people, they're like, there's a legitimate chance he could be one of the first few picks in the 2nd round. Like, I mean, that's how high up I've heard. So like, it would not shock me if he doesn't even make it that far down. He probably might not even make it out of the 2nd.
Yeah, I really think it just depends on how do teams utilize tight ends, and also are they okay with taking a tight end that is, like I said, it's like he's like a Mike Gesicki. That's what I compared him to back when we did our rankings at tight end. Are you going to be okay with having a guy who isn't going to give you much as a blocker? It's just going to be more of a receiving threat. I think that's going to be the biggest question, and that could be what makes him fall a little bit, but I agree. I think he's more of a 2nd round pick, but Mason Taylor here, and let's see who's up next. Let's see. We got the Denver Broncos. I believe this is their final pick, too. It is their final pick. Now, Derek, you went Luther Burden in the 1st, Trevion Henderson in the 2nd. Where are you going to go here in the 3rd to wrap us up?
Let me see the interior offensive lineman real quick. I want to see if my guy's still there. Yes, he is. Give me Jared Wilson, center out of Georgia. Ultimate top 3 picks. Like it.
Hey, man. Can't go wrong. Like I said, I kind of gave my spiel about the interior of the offensive line early on in the stream. So, yeah, I mean, just good pick.
You got your playmakers in the first couple rounds. Now you're building in the trenches.
And you can never go wrong with the high football IQ guy too, right? I feel like people don't necessarily give And then people don't give the mental aspect enough credit in the game of football. Everybody thinks, I want the fast guy. I want the big guy. I want the athletic guy. What about the guy that's just smart? What about the guy that can beat you because of his mind, right? That's Jared Wilson. What do you think about that, Broshmo?
It makes me sad a little bit just because, like, I'm a big fan of Luke Wattenberger. And, I mean, to be fair, like, it maybe last year was an outlier. Like, he was pretty solid, but you never know. And then he'd be coming up on a contract anyway. So this is like gearing up for the future. Jared Wilson is going to be a more highly, I don't want to say recruited, but yeah, recruited or sought out player than what Wattenberger was coming out. So it's a good pick. Just makes me sad.
You like that pick, Dose?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's a path that he moves to guard. Like, I think his skill set is, I mean, his range that he's only been a 1-year starter, but I think he's so rangy that he could actually play the guard position. Things might happen a little bit slower. They could help him out a little bit more, but he did a really nice job for Georgia. Like, I didn't see any issues with him, like getting the snap off, getting the ball out quickly, but it was like, hey man, guys would line up over him and it felt like there was some more issues. So I think that he could push the guard at some point down the road too.
He's played all over the interior O-line, so like it makes sense if you want to put him at left guard, right guard, center. It's not exactly out of his toolbox there. But Dose, you are back up on the clock here. Your final pick here for the Chargers. You went Colson Loveland, then Omar Norman Lott. Where do you want to go here?
Yeah, definitely. I want to go with a weapon here, and I know your boy's sitting there, Jalen Knowles. So it's like that would be really interesting.
I'm just happy you didn't call him Noel, man. Just happy you didn't call him Noel.
Well, I didn't. I've learned. I've listened.
Yeah, we all learned when we were at the Senior Bowl, man. Remember we were at the Senior Bowl and literally got an interview with him, and then he follows Roundtable Sports on I think it was Twitter. He followed us on, and then he commented. He's like, "Yeah, by the way, it's Noel, but okay, thanks guys. It was nice meeting you." we were all just like,
watching right now.
Yeah, you might be watching. Hey, man, shout out Jalen Noel, best receiver in the draft class. Should be a first rounder. Everybody's sleeping on him though, but yeah, that's our guy right there.
Do a mock, put him at 5. This guy's gonna be great. No,
that's awesome. We love it.
I want a weapon for this team though, and I'm trying to figure out like how raw I want to go. Like Savion Williams feels so interesting for this offense. I think it would be a lot of fun to put him in this offense and just kind of see what it turn into. But they have the Quentin Johnstons. It's like I don't know if I want to go down that path. So instead, we're gonna go off the board a little bit. I'm gonna go Dante Thornton out of Tennessee. I want to give them a blazing speed kind of guy. Lides in those wide splits. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I think it's something that's definitely going to open the top off in theory. And I think with Justin Herbert, we kind of got the creator underneath. Let me go get the guy that's just going to run by people and put safeties backwards. So we're just going to have a vertical pushing offense, man. We'll take Thornton. And I don't think you're going to get there anytime soon.
Yeah, no, you were like,
say, like, holy Jesus,
I was hoping that he was going to be a little bit more up on the list because
he's up there. He's basically right there.
Come on, dude.
Because I do think like he's
a little bit further.
I know he's a little bit farther down. I'm just saying, like, I think he's finally getting a little bit more respect. Like, I wonder if he's going to go a little bit earlier than some people think. But I mean, yeah, Dose. I mean, I think you probably could have gotten him a little bit later. Like,
I can't. We only got 3 rounds.
I like him more than PFF likes him, but I like him more than PFF does. But I don't like him as a 3rd round pick. But I mean, hey, big guy, go fast. I don't love the drop rate, but if you want that fast guy, Thornton's that guy. And you know what? If he really has those catching problems, just like Tyquan Thornton did, no relation there supposedly, but if he really has those drop issues, then hey, just don't throw him the ball.
There's no way I was gonna make the Chargers fans happy, okay? Because if I didn't go this route, I was gonna take another receiver that was ranked super low on here, so it's not gonna look great. So we go with the big guy that's fast. People are gonna like that.
Wow, Thornton. Wow, I actually forgot we had the Rams up here as one of the teams. But Jalen Walker, the first pick, and Derek, this is your team, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, where do you want to go here?
Well, we gotta look at a few of their needs here because I ended up getting them a linebacker. I want to see what tight ends are left on. Even Daniel can't believe it either, Broshmo.
Broshmo, he's talking to you. Broshmo, you better lock in, dog.
I don't think he's talking to me.
Getting cooked in the chat. It's crazy. No, chill out. All right. He's doing all right.
Thornton's a good player, dude.
I don't know. Let me see corners because I don't know what corners are left. Jacob Parrish. Okay. Let me see the tackles left on there. Yeah, get me Wyatt Millum there. I do know that people are talking about moving him to guard, but he has been a left tackle his entire career. If they decide to keep him there, then he would be a good one. You know, being 6'6", I doubt that you would move him to guard because of that height, but I mean, he's been a great technician, and I think he's a great pick here.
And man, can't go wrong with Wyatt Milum. If he doesn't work out at tackle, at least he can be an interior offensive lineman. Broshma, do you remember what his arms checked in at?
32.
They were sub 33. Let me pull it up real quick.
Well, if that's the case, yeah, he's probably
32 and 5/8.
Yeah, so he's
almost there.
He's probably more of a guard at the next level. You don't really see tackles with 32, but I mean, hey, maybe he can be the outlier, right? We used to say 33 couldn't get it done, and then that became the outlier. So maybe Wyatt Milum just changes everybody's perspective in the league. So Wyatt Milum here, man. I still think he's going to be a good offensive lineman. And then moving on here to the Seattle Seahawks, final pick here for them in the third round. We went Gray Zabel, Jack Sawyer, Jalen Royals, Mason Taylor. Honestly, I think their draft could be finished here, and you feel pretty confident if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan. So let's see what they got up here on the board. How did this board fall, actually, now that I'm looking at it? All right, maybe we can go like D lineman, although I'm pretty sure Broshmo took every one of those guys off. Actually, no, we got Joshua Farmer still on the board. I'm a big Joshua Farmer fan, and I'm going to take him just because I don't know if Broshmo has another pick left on the clock, but if he does, he's probably going to try to target Joshua Farmer. So I'm going to take him now, a guy who's a bit of a better pass rusher than he is a run stopper. Like I said, I do think that is valuable, guys who can rush from the interior, but, you know, big body guy, 6'3", 318 pounds. We went edge a little bit earlier with Jack Sawyer, now solidifying the interior of that defensive line with Joshua Farmer. Big fan of his here in the kind of later to mid rounds here. What do you think about that pick, Broshmo?
I like it. I got a chance to meet his family down in Mobile, and they're pretty optimistic about him going relatively high. And
I'm sure they are, but
I've seen a few top 50 grades on him. I mean, the dude's got good upside. And I thought he got better as a technician this year with his overall just pass rush package. So at least very early in his career, he should be pretty good on passing downs.
You like that pick, Dose?
Yeah, I just wonder, like, for them specifically, like how that fits for them, like how that fits their style of defensive line. Well, that's the only question I have. You know,
what do you mean?
I don't know. I just think like getting like a longer
situational defensive lineman, you know, gets to the quarterback, him and Jack Sawyer, obvious passing situations. You don't believe in interior defense. You don't think the big dudes in the middle can get to the quarterback now? What's wrong with that, Dose, huh? Come on.
Man, I didn't say that. See, now he's putting words
You're going to trash him on the show? What do you mean? Joshua Farmer should be a first-round pick, friend of the podcast.
With your chest.
My bad. I didn't realize.
Friend of the podcast. Dose, come on, dude. What do you think about that pick there?
You like that big pick?
That's too funny, man. I love it.
You like that? You like that big? I thought it was
it's a decent pick.
It was good value. Broshmo took all the other guys, so I had to take someone.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, it's a stacked defensive line class. There's gonna be a lot of these guys that go on day 2.
I don't know, Broshmo. If you have anything to do with it, they might be gone after day 1. They might all be gone after day 1. But hey, look, my final pick here for the Kansas City Chiefs. In the third round, we went Josh Simmons, Quinshon Judkins, then Andrew Makuba. Let's see who's left on the board. Honestly, is there any tight ends here? Because I feel like they need to get like a future at the.
They would totally.
Tight end 1 is here.
Draft Harold Fannin Jr. and like watch him just explode in that offense.
I just want to say under the radar guy for me that I feel like nobody talks about is Benjamin Yorsek in like the 5th round.
I liked him.
I feel like in like the 5th round, like the later round prospect, like nobody talks about him, like a little bit of upside. It's a name I'm gonna throw out there.
I wish he did more at Georgia, but he was pretty good at Stanford.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's try to see who's left on the board here. Not loving. I mean, maybe they could go edge, but I'm not a big.
Get Harold Fannin Jr. to be the backup to Travis Kelce, and then when Kelce retires next year, and Harold Fannin in the offensive wizardry of
they should just go Jaden Blue.
Offense.
They should just go Jaden Blue, right? You know, just get the fast running back again, pair him up with Quinshon Judkins. No, I'm just kidding. Hey man, look, Let's get the future, right? Let's get the future tight end behind Travis Kelce. Kelsey's got what? 1 year left in him, maybe 2. Like, I mean, I feel like 2's even pushing it. Like he was about to retire. Like if they won that Super Bowl, I think he ultimately retires. I don't think he comes back.
Yeah.
I think he's hoping that he can finish on a high note this year. I don't know. I mean, I think you want that future tight end in there behind Travis Kelce to kind of learn the ropes a little bit. I don't really like Harold Fannin. I'm sorry, Derek, not to get on you. I think his stock's falling. With his stock falling, who's going to rise up? I know he got injured at the combine, but it doesn't sound like it's anything too serious. But I also think, people are trying to get on him being Gunnar Helm because he had a bad 40 time. He had a bad 40 time because he got injured on his 40. So ultimately, I think that Gunnar Helm is the guy who has upside as a blocker. He has upside as a receiver. I think he can be a do-it-all type of tight end, a guy who doesn't really come off the field all that much in every down tight end. Like I said, allowing him to kind of just sit back and develop, not be the starter right off the bat, not even necessarily have to be tight end 2. He can kind of be more tight end 3, learn the mental kind of reps there, and then, be tight end 2, be tight end 1 once Travis Kelce ultimately retires here. So I'm going to go Gunnar Helm here and kind of finish that off here for the Kansas City Chiefs. A guy who can help you now, but he can also help you for the future. What do you think about that, Big Dose?
Yeah, it was a little messed up. I feel like you kind of just we're taking Harold Fannin, and then you just immediately took Gunnar Helm. It was a little bit disrespectful. I'll be honest with you. That was
I mean, Harold Fannin, man, friend of the podcast.
I don't really like.
Harold Fannin should be a first-round pick, but he had a really bad combine. If we're gonna be honest with ourselves, like I was watching this dude run the 3-code drill. Bro looked like he was like a monster truck just running over cars. I was like, what are we doing, man? You're supposed to be a better receiving threat than you are a blocker. He literally told me, he's like, yeah, I'm trying to be a better blocker. I'm like, okay, if you're trying to be a better blocker, then you would think that you have a more receiving, upside.
Hey,
Yet
dude.
bro looks like he's like dragging his entire body when he's running routes. I'm like, you can't get in and out of breaks, man. What are we talking about? His stock fell for me. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have a lot of hope for him anymore.
I'm just gonna say, you're talking about Harold Fannin having a terrible combine. Gunnar Helm almost dislocated, tore off his leg during that 40, and then proceeded to have one of the worst.
He was
combines.
trying. He has that. He has that motivation to come back from it. But he got injured, right? So it's like, I can't really take too much away from it. I mean, what are we gonna say about Fannin? Fannin didn't get injured. He was just Harold Fannin out there. No disrespect to Harold Fannin, though. Friend of the podcast, should be a first-round pick.
Tight end 1.
Tight end 1 right there. What do you think about the pick, Brochbo?
I would have went Fannin. I don't think I would have went tight end. I think I would have. You know me. I love this defensive line class. And they're a little light on the defensive line, especially the interior. Chris Jones, suddenly his friends are all gone, and Noddy and Thornton. So Wharton. There we go. So I personally would have gone there, but I can see trying to take a shot on Kelsey's heir apparent.
All right. Who do we have up here next? We have the San Francisco 49ers up here next. Broshmo, this is you. You got Armand Membu, Braden Swinson, and then Dion Walker. Where do you want to go here with your final pick here in the third?
So I'm going to go ahead and just wrap up this draft where I just addressed the trenches, both sides, because they needed it. I'm going to get Grant, like Charles Grant at William & Mary.
That's nice.
I'm kind of shocked he's still on the board just because he's got really good tools. He can be that heir apparent to Trent Williams. We don't even have to move Armand Membu now, hopefully. And Grant doesn't have to start right away. I think he would be more of a more known prospect if he wasn't hurt and could have went to like the Senior or the Shrine Bowl. But you look at his tape, he moves really well. He's got some strength along that frame. He just needs to further develop, whether it's a footwork, technique, stuff along those lines. And he can do it behind, the current best tackle in the NFL.
You say Cam Williams you're going?
Hell no. I'm going Charles Grant.
Wow. Isn't that crazy?
Cam Williams, the guy that got
I don't know why
by Sam Hubbard.
Cam Williams. I thought I heard you say Cam Williams. I don't know. I don't really know where that came from. Hey man, building to the trenches, you can never go wrong there. You always got to protect your quarterback. Like I always say, the offensive line is like the engine to a car. So I like it. Can't go wrong with it. Moving on here, we got the Los Angeles Rams. I want to say this is our final pick. Yeah, this is our final pick here in this mock draft. The Rams went Jalen Walker, Wyatt Milam, Derek. Where are they going to go with this final pick?
I am going to go. Show me the tight ends. I want to see. Oh, he's there. Harold Fannin.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
I'm taking it. I don't care. Take him there at 103, at 101, technically. Go ahead.
You know what? He makes some sense in that system. Like I could see them getting the best out of him, but I don't know. I don't really see Fannin at this point. Like if he becomes like a quality tight end too, I would consider that a success here. I don't think he's ever going to be a 1, but even then he might even end up being more of like a number 3, and it wouldn't really surprise me.
Oh
Man, shout out to my boy Graf though. Shout out to my boy Graf. He says, "Bro, pick for my Raiders, please." Hey man, the Raiders had a pretty great draft. Raiders had a pretty great draft here.
Outside of no Ashton Genty.
No Ashton Genty, yeah, he went like right before. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news on that one. But hey guys, what do you think about the mock draft here? 3-round mock draft for the AFC West and the NFC West. Let us know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on the video and subscribe here to Roundtable Sports YouTube channel for a lot more shows. You got Draftaholics live every single Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. You got Fourth and Forever Monday through Friday, which I'm filling in for Richie today, tomorrow, and all of next week. And then, of course, you got Wake Up and Ball Monday through Friday with Richie and TD. Also, make sure to check out the rest of Roundtable Sports individual channels. Links in the description box below. Make sure to check out our individual channels. Links in the description box below. But until next Thursday, we appreciate you guys for watching. And, of course, as always, stay safe.